name's Andrew from Ortho Active. I just wanted to do a quick introduction video on how to fit bracing and where to prescribe the bracing depending on when you get a doctor's prescription. Basically, I just wanted to make it a lot easier for you to be able to decide what braces the customer needs when they come into your location. I wanted to start with knee braces, then go on to wrist braces, a little bit of back brace, elbow, that kind of thing, and maybe touch on ankle at the end. So I'm just going to jump in while I'm here. What happens a lot of times is that you'll get a prescription from a doctor come in, or a patient will come in, maybe not with a prescription, but the doctor said, you need a knee brace. A lot of times it might not say a specific thing like you have an ACL tear or anything. It might just say you need knee brace. So in that situation, I want to kind of make it a little easier for you if that situation happens. Basically what I'm going to kind of tell you is if there's a general knee problem, if there's pain forward or backward movement, if you're getting pain when they're doing running, sitting, kneeling, hiking, that kind of stuff, or if there's lateral pain, medial lateral pain, side to side pain. But a lot of times what happens is a customer might come in and they want something like this. This is just our new elastic. We have these, we've been selling them for a long time in beige. This is just our new elastic charcoal color knee sleeve. Customers a lot of times are going to come in and say, I want just a knee sleeve. The problem with that is that the doctor, or whatever their problem is, they might add an actual injury in there. These ones really are more for just general knee pain, no specific injury or anything like that, and they're not really going to support much. They have a lot of movement to them, so I wouldn't start recommending with these. However, a lot of these do sell quite a bit. Really what they're going to do is they're going to give you a little compression, that gives you a little internal pressure inside the knee joint, which is then going to help stabilize the knee a little bit. But you can see the brace itself isn't going to do anything for that. As well, it is going to give some compression for inflammation and pain. And really, it's just a reminder that they're got a sore knee. They probably shouldn't be doing something crazy to hurt their knee. This one does have bamboo in it, so it is antimicrobial. But other than that, it's just our new elastic knee sleeve in charcoal. But this isn't where I would start to recommend for people. These ones just are a general knee sleeve that customers do love and enjoy. As well, this one here is the same kind of thing, but it's from Bort. Bort is our German manufacturer that we distribute for. And this one's got a 20-30 compression. So structurally, same as the last elastic knee sleeve I just showed you, but it has a 20-30 compression. So it's actually, instead of just having general compression like the last one, it's actually got graded compression that pulls inflammation and swelling away from the knee. This one wouldn't be recommended for anybody that comes in with a prescription for inflammation or edema or anything like that, though. This would just be for the same kind of indication as the last one. It has general knee pain, they hurt themselves, but no prescription on what they would want. Next up, this one I just wanted to show you is a Thermo-Skin knee sleeve. This one again it's not doing anything for support. It is getting closer to more of a neoprene style that is going to have a little bit more structural support to the knee. But this one does have a wrap. So this one will be a lot easier for elderly to pull onto their knee. A lot of space up here to accommodate for different thigh sizes. But this one isn't for injuries per se. What this one really is for is it's the Thermo-Skin warming knee wrap. So it's more for if somebody has arthritis. So this one's just a general knee warmer for arthritis. And the Thermo-Skin line always has this plush interior that whisks away heat and moisture. And the whole entire line is designed to increase heat, but while not feeling warm and sweaty while you're wearing it. So that one's for arthritis. Where I would really start to get into the recommendations of the first thing that I would recommend for your customers is our 43 stabilizing knee sleeve. The reason why I say this is where you'd want to start for recommendations is because it has 2 spiral metal stays in here. I might have something here to show you. So this one here, this is one of our ankles. It has the same kind of stays inside of it. So it's just a spiral metal stay like that that's inside there. And those will basically try to duplicate ligaments and tendons that are inside the knee, trying to give a little bit more stability to your knee. It has a patella hole, and then once again, 2 spiral metal stays down the side. And right away, as soon as you see this structurally, the knee brace is a lot more stable. It's definitely going to add some stability to your knee. As well, I kind of always point out, this is a neoprene sleeve, but neoprene, I always recommend that as something that's going to give structural support and stabilize the knee, because if you always look at a power lifter, they're going out and lifting 1,000 pounds on their knees, and they just throw a neoprene sleeve on, and that's all they do to help stabilize that knee. So this is why this is, besides the neoprene, the metal stabilizers, and the patella buttress, that's all going to help stabilize any kind of general knee problems. So this one would be if someone comes in and says, I need a knee brace, but I don't have any specific indication or specific injury, and it's not any specific directional pain, and I don't really know what to get. That's a very easy, safe way to start on a recommendation for them. It's the 43 knee stabilizer. As well, this one kind of falls into the same category. It's a little bit newer version of ours, but it is a patella knee wrap from Dynamic that we have in our Ortho Active line, but it's got a nice patella buttress, and it comes in a wrap with the 2 spiral metal stays in it as well. But this one's a little bit shorter and is a wrap. So this one kind of falls in that same kind of category as the stabilizer, but this will fit a lot more people. This one's a universal knee brace. So if somebody's got really big thighs or really big calves, this one's going to fit a lot better because it is a little bit shorter. And the cost on this one is a nice price point for a universal brace. So you literally only need one brace in your store to be able to fit multiple people. But again, it would be fitting in that general knee stabilization kind of category. After that, same kind of line of thought. You can go into these. This is our Sport Tech Dynamic Patella Knee Compression. It has a gel patella buttress around the outside to stabilize the knee, just like the knee stabilizer. Has the spiral metal stays up and down the side. But where this one comes into a little bit more different, still very, very stable, it has the 20-30 compression inside the knit elastic fabric here. So one, it's going to be a little sleeker design. As well, it's going to allow more airflow coming out of the brace. And it's got the 20-30 compression. So the 20-30 compression is going to be pulling inflammation, lactic acid, and swelling away from the knee. But once again, not if somebody has a prescription for edema that you want to put this on them, because you want to have some sort of compression down at the bottom in the ankle to make sure that we're not trapping inflammation in the ankle. But if it's just a knee injury, sports injuries, this would be a great way to get rid of that pain. And this one's just we as well do the board line, which is a higher end than this, which is similar kind of product, but it actually has silicone woven throughout the top, so it doesn't mitigate down. It's a German manufactured product, really high end, and it also has silicone woven at the top, so it doesn't mitigate, and silver woven throughout it, so it actually is antimicrobial. So a little extra features in the board version versus this one is our Sport Tech Dynamic line. So this is one of the board versions with the 20-30 compression. I don't know if you can see that there, but it's got the silicone dots, so it doesn't mitigate down. But this one's interesting because you can open it up. It has a patella buttress on the side here, but this is for anybody with lateral patella instabilities. Kind of a unique product with the 20-30 compression, but then still has a lateral patella pull there. So those ones all kind of fall in the general knee stabilization kind of category, or general knee pain. As well, something that I should mention, this one here, as much as I said it's neoprene, it is actually coolprene. So with many of the braces that we manufacture here at Ortho Active in Canada, you'll see different materials, and you can kind of have any of those materials in any of the braces, which is kind of a nice little feature that comes with the Ortho Active braces being made here in Canada. This one actually has perforations in it, so it does have breathability throughout the neoprene. That's why it's called the coolprene. And as well, all of our neoprene or coolprene have a plush interior, which whisks away heat and moisture as well. So you're not going to feel warm and sweaty in there. And there's no latex inside any of the neoprene or coolprene products that we have. So if anybody's ever worried about that, kind of answers those questions. As well, neoprene is really good for arthritis as well. So if anybody has arthritic pain, it's going to be warming, but the interior is going to whisk away heat and moisture, so it's going to really help for any kind of arthritic pain as well. So next up, this is our jumper's knee brace. And this is where it's not general knee pain, or if you're asking them, is it general knee pain, no specific injury, or is it directional? Is it forward, backward knee pain, or is it medial, lateral knee pain, that kind of thing? With these ones, this one has the spiral metal stays up and down both sides, as well as a rigid strap that holds all that together. What that's going to do is that's going to basically, if you're articulating your knee and you have some loose ligaments, you're going to have some slippage there. So what this is going to do is with those metal stays and the straps, that's going to lock it into your leg and really try to help stop and control that knee from sliding forward and backward. It's not going to do as much side to side, but it is going to do a lot forward and backward. And overall, just this kind of brace is starting to get a lot more rigid compared to just a general knee stabilizer. But it's those straps and longer stays that really make things work to stop that forward and backward pain. So with these ones, if anybody, they're called the runners or jumpers knees. So if anybody's doing that kind of movement where they're squatting, kneeling, stairs, sitting, jumping, always just think that jumping movement, running, hiking, anything like that, they have pain there, but nothing medial, lateral. That's where something like the jumper's knee is going to come in perfectly. As well, something to consider is that it isn't a rigid stay. So if we're dealing with elderly that don't want to have hard things poking into their skin, we're worried about causing wounds or things like that from a hard device pushing in on them. These ones could be indicated for that as well, just because of compliance, that they might not want to wear that brace. These do have a felt buttress on the inside. Many of our braces do have these, or other options like just a donut kind of buttress. But they are movable, so you could put them in multiple different ways. Generally, you put them in like this, and that helps protect the patella and keep it in place. You could as well put it up on top of the knee, on top of the patella. That actually will kind of hook over the patella and will stop mitigation of the knee brace going down. As well, a nice little idea, you could go from the side and almost work like a lateral knee patella control. It'll help give pressure to the patella tendon, as well it'll be up above the patella to stop mitigation down. So that could be an option to do as well. To put it back in, I always fold it in half and then slide it, because you gotta be careful, it always attacks itself with Velcro. Just slide that back in, right to the bottom of that hole, and spread it out, and you got it in there. So, but that's the jumper's knee for any kind of forward and backward pain. Next up would be if someone comes in, once again, if someone comes in with a doctor's note and there's kind of an indication on there, it's probably going to be that they need to get into some sort of hinged knee brace or even a custom knee brace, something like that. The cool thing is too, is with all of our packaging, we always have indications on the bottom. So if someone comes in and says, oh, I got a meniscus tear, it's like, okay, well, here's the one that says it on the box. Or if it's carpal tunnel, it's going to be on the box for a wrist brace, something like that. So that's something always to consider. But kind of going into this general thing, if there's a prescription where there is no indication, where's your pain? If they have that medial lateral pain, or if they start coming in, say they have ACL, PCL, LCL instabilities or anything like that, that's where you would want to go with the hinge brace, something that's a rigid metal hinge. That's the only way you're going to really stop any of that movement side to side. So once again, if it's forward and backward pain, jumpers, runner's knee. If it's just general pain, you go with the knee stabilizer. If it's side to side pain or like ACL, MCL instabilities, things like that, meniscus, you'd want to go with the hinge brace. Something that's new with this one as well is we have changed it. We used to have where you'd need to pull underneath and pop open, fold the brace, and pull out the hinge to get at the hinge. So recently we've changed it so it's all smooth on the outside. So if somebody's wearing a knee brace and shorts on this side, it won't rub. It will be nice and smooth all the way through. As well, to get this out, there's just a little slot at the top of the knee brace. So you just pull that and then the hinge comes right out. As well, they now have a contour, so it contours around the knee, so it's not going to impinge on the knee. And then they are very easily moldable to adjust to the shape of your customer. My knee is kind of perfect for demonstrating that. So you can kind of see if I was to go and wear this on my, there we go. If I was going to wear this without adjusting it, it would just be putting pressure on my calf and my thigh. But if we adjust it, now you got to remember, don't just adjust it like this. You want to adjust it on the sides. And if you adjust that, that's going to contour to the leg. It'll still articulate, but it's now going to be shaped to that customer's leg. It's going to be a lot more comfortable. It's very easy to do. It's very easy to put in and out of the brace with the new style as well. So super simple, in and out. As well, if you're in a rush and it's just too busy and somebody says, oh, there's pain here, you could just simply grab it and bend it, but just make sure you don't bend it like this. You have to grab just the top or just the bottom to bend it. Gives a little bit more leverage with all the padding and stuff too if you're having a hard time adjusting. So that's the hinged knee brace. And yeah, once again, if somebody has medial lateral instabilities, a lot of people, if they have ACL or kind of an actual injury, they're gonna need to be in this. But again, if there's something rigid, sometimes you'll have a compliance issue where the customer says, I don't want a rigid hinge, I don't want something like that. Then you can go down to the jumper's knee, and then if they still don't accept it, you can go down. But at least they know that, hey, look on the box, it says this brace is for this is what you need to have. But if they don't accept it, we can go down, and at least they know what they should have had, and then maybe they'll come back and get what they actually need. As well, something that's new that we're doing is we're going to be putting tabs on the end of the brace so that if there's elderly with dexterity issues or anything like that, it's just a lot easier to open up. We started welding instead of stitching all the threads, so there's not going to be any sharp points sticking out or threads sticking out that might scratch your skin. Everything's just a lot smoother on the brace. So that's some new features on the Hinge 32 style knee brace. As well, this is kind of something that's a feature, and all these are features that come up on all of our braces, knee braces, but you can do them in different styles. So you can have it as a wrap or a pull-on sleeve, things like that. But when you're trying to fit a pull-on onto general public, it's kind of meant, the pull-on's meant for one size, one shape of leg. It's a little harder for the bigger thighs, bigger calves, things like that. So that's where a wrap comes in, and we can have the wrap. The wrap can really adjust in quite a bit of different thigh sizes. So that's going to be something that could be really helpful to keep on your shelf so that you don't have fitting issues or somebody's trying to put on a brace. When you're sizing for the brace, you want to measure knee center. But let's say if it's 14 inches and that says you need large or medium, whatever size brace you need, but then you got a bigger thigh, muscular thigh or muscular calf, it might not fit, and then you have to go up a size. Now you're in a large, but you got to think now it's not going to support the knee as much. So I'd say if you're going up a size, that's generally okay, but if you're going up 2 sizes or more to fit a thigh or a calf, that's not going to be supporting the knee. There's going to be nothing supporting the knee. And that's where the wraps come in really handy. As well, something that's new that's coming, this one's not it, but we are going to have our wrap styles going to be coming up on the side more, and you will actually have a patella support in our wraps. So that's the way our wraps are now going to be coming very soon. But yeah, that's the 32 hinged wrap, and this one actually is our cool cell material as well. So you got the neoprene, the coolprene, which is perforated neoprene, and then you have the cool cell. And the cool cell is actually a completely breathable foam, essentially. It structurally has the same kind of structure as a neoprene, but it's an open cell breathable foam on the inside. So it's no latex, completely breathable, so it's the coolest way to have a structural support material like that. After that one, you might want to, some people might have pretty serious injuries like ACL tears or things like that, or coming out of surgery. With those kind of things, you might want to look at our Activator hinged range of motion knee brace. So it actually has pins that can be moved. They're locked in here so you can't lose the pins, but that will actually help limit your range of motion. So if they're just coming out of surgery and the doctor wants them to have a limited range of motion, that could be a huge thing. As well, they're a longer steel hinge, so they're even more stable, and with four straps. So that's a very good option. Actually, something like this is what is recommended by a lot of orthopedic surgeons to have after or before they're getting surgery or an injury. So that's something to consider. Might not necessarily be something that you keep in stock, but something that you can get in from us quite timely. And then from there, if somebody ever has if they ever say they need an unloader, offloader, or a osteoarthritis, they have unicompartmental osteoarthritis, then they would want something more like a custom knee brace. Like this is iBrace that we represent out here in the West. So the iBrace is actually a custom knee brace, and that will give you a 3-point force to correct for your OA or any ACL, MCL tears, things like that. So that's kind of the next step that you'd go up above the soft goods style braces. So that's kind of everything for the knee braces. So next I was going to cover wrist braces. Hopefully I covered everything that you'd be looking for questions for the knee braces. Same kind of thing with your wrist brace. We do have elastic style knee wrist braces. This one's one of the newer style wrist braces that we just launched. It's got a lot wider stitch to the ends, so there's not like a hard pinch point on the elastic stitching. It's a lot more contoured, a lot more comfortable. This one actually has a thumb as well. So normally, like I was saying with the elastic braces, they're not going to do much for support. But this is just going to give you compression and inflammation control to help with pain, warmth. And then this one has actually the thumb combined with it. So it does give you a little bit of motion restriction, which is good because of the two joints are kind of combined. But overall, not really where I would suggest starting if somebody has an injury. But if they're just arthritic and pain, that's probably a good way to go. And people just love to buy these kind of things and they fly off the shelves. Next up, this is just our Thermo-Skin Arthritic wrist glove, and it doesn't have any support to it. You can get it with a carpal tunnel stay on the inside, but these ones have been very popular because what they are is they're just a compression glove for arthritic hands. And what they do is they have the compression, they're warming, so they will help with the pain of arthritis. And as well, the interior is the same kind of thing where it whisks away heat and moisture and increases blood flow to the area. So you're going to have no inflammation, but help with blood flow to get rid of the pain, and warming to get rid of the arthritic pain. Right to the fingertips, I kind of call these like iPhone fingers, so you can still use your phone and things. But the other feature that this one has is it has a grip on the inside. So if you have elderly going down railings or using walkers or trying to open jars, things like that, they actually have a grip on here so you can actually use it. You're not slipping on steering wheels or things like that. So that's a nice feature. And why I really like these gloves is because they kind of have every feature you'd want in an arthritic glove. They got the compression, they got the warming, they got the interior that whisks away heat and moisture, increasing blood flow, and then the grip on the outside. So they kind of have all features all in one product. As well, I just want to mention this one is kind of a new one that we have. It's just a wrist wrap, essentially. Well, this is just something new that we have launched. If somebody's looking for something that just goes, and I get a lot of questions for this, that just goes on just the wrist, gives you a little bit of stability there, but they don't want anything on their hand, that could be an option. More of a, if somebody's coming in looking for that kind of thing, than a recommendation. But if somebody comes in and there's, prescription for post-injury or post-surgery or anything like that, or carpal tunnel, arthritis, that kind of stuff, usually I would start with something like your contoured wrist brace that we have. It's a long time brace that we've had for a very long time. It's our top seller. Essentially, it is made of neoprene, so it is good for arthritis. And it's got a contoured wrist stay on the inside. So what that contoured wrist stay does is that it will shape to your hand really nicely. So it'll give you a lot of it'll immobilize your wrist without being big and bulky. So this one's just a 6.5 inch wrist immobilizer, essentially, stay. And it contours, and all this can be molded. So whenever you're fitting something, you want to be in a slight cock up position and fit that to there, so you're in that slight cock up position. And then there's the one on the outside as well. So same thing like the knee brace, it's just a little slot on the inside, you pull that out. Another little tip is the long side here, that goes on the hand, not on the wrist. I always feel like it goes this way, but yeah, the long part goes on the wrist. And I believe these come flat when you receive them, but you can mold them up just a little bit so you can get that slight cock up position. And then you can fit them to your patient right outside the brace, or you can just mold them to the patient inside the brace as well, just like the knee brace. With the stays, what I always, or should say when you're fitting the brace, I wouldn't like these two big Velcro straps you can take apart, but this middle one, I would not completely undo it. Because if you completely undo it, you're gonna have a hard time fitting the brace. But if you leave it a little bit, just open up as wide as it can, you're gonna have a lot more ease of putting on the brace. So that way you can get on there like that. This isn't my size, by the way, but you can tighten that up, and there. So the interesting thing about this one is we do have wrist lacers, and the wrist lacers are a lot easier to put on, but this one here is a lower cost brace because it's made of neoprene with the Velcro and everything. But the Velcro actually is a more stable brace. This Velcro is a rigid material, so it's actually going to create more stability to the brace, more immobilization, even to the inversion, eversion, things like that. But this one's a very popular brace. It's kind of indicated for many things. Most braces wrist braces are kind of indicated for very similar things, like carpal tunnel or arthritis, things like that. Post-surgery, post-cast, all that kind of stuff. And then it just comes down to cost and ease of putting on the brace, things like that. So that's the 97 contoured wrist brace. Next up, the other thing that might come up in a doctor's note is, say if they're saying you want an 8-inch brace or something like that. So these ones here are 6.5, but because of the contoured aspect of the stays, they don't need to be 8 inches, so they don't need to be as bulky to get the same amount of immobilization because they are contoured right to your skin. They are a lot more tight fit. So you might get a prescription that says 8-inch, but these really do accommodate that same immobilization that an 8-inch would. As well as if you get this tight to the wrist, but you feel it's a little loose in the palm, you can mold this to make things fit. So if it's too loose, you pull it tighter. If it's too tight, you can just loosen it, pull it, and adjust it. Just adjust the metal stays inside. This one's slightly longer than the 6.5. I think it's probably about 7 inches, to be honest. So it's half an inch longer there. But this one is our dynamic wrist lacer, a lower cost option. It's a cloth with perforations. Like I was saying with the lacers, they're a lot easier to put on as well. So this one's going to be nice, comfortable, stabilizing, everything like that. But the way I recommend putting these ones on is taking this first lacer and pulling it around back to your wrist. That pulls the palm nice and tight. And then take this one and pull it up on top. And then that will make it so there's a single pull for whenever you're trying to put it on later. So this one's a nice low cost, similar to the contoured wrist brace, but now it's a wrist lacer. As well with this one is only small, medium, large, but it fits left or right, which means that you don't have to have as many on your shelf. So the stay can come out. You can see with this one, the stay is not quite as contoured to your body, so it's not going to support as well, and partly why it needs to be a little bit longer. But it is contoured in this direction, just not the around your thumb and things like that, so it has to be a little bit thinner to accommodate for the thumb. But if you want this to fit left or right, you just take the stay out from this side, put it on that side, put this stay on that side, and then it switches to the left or the right. So if you want a wrist lacer in your store, but you don't want to carry left and right and small, medium, large, extra large, all that kind of thing, this is a great option because then you can fit small, medium, large is full stock, and that's all that you need. Next up is our Active CT Lacer. The Active CT Lacer is essentially the exact same brace as the contoured wrist brace, but with a lacer, and this one's in our cool cell material, not in the neoprene, which again, the neoprene would be good for arthritis, This one's going to be a little bit more breathable. This one, you open it up and it's more like just throwing on a sleeve there. It's not going to fall apart. This one's already kind of adjusted to me, so I'm going to unadjust it to show you how to actually fit it. So you have this one brace here. A lot of people tend to want to pull that and just wrap it around like that. You're going to pull strings over your thumb and things like that. It's not going to fit as well. You might pull it over like this, and that's going to fit a lot better, and then you could pull this one around like that. However, what I always recommend is to take this first string and pull it around back to the wrist. That pulls the palm really tight, and then take this one, pull that one right on top, and then now everything's tight, the wrist is tight, everything's perfect. You got those contoured stays on both sides that are fitting, so you're completely immobile. And then now you have a single pull that is adjusted to your customer to be able to fit. And like I was saying, these ones here, they immobilize very well for resting hand splints at night, or so people don't cramp up on their wrists, or just if they have carpal tunnel or arthritic. Like even the cool cell will help with arthritis. Anything that's on top will be warming and help. Obviously the neoprene's gonna be better for that, but this will still help. But these ones aren't bulky. You can still do all your daily activities, working, typing, everything like that, but still protecting your wrist. Without having a huge bulky wrist brace on there. That being said, if a doctor does have a prescription that says 8-inch wrist brace, we do have basically the Active CT lacer available in 8-inch. It does have the regular stay, that's not the contoured stay. You can get the Active CT lacer in a 10-inch with the contoured. Those ones would be for some pretty serious injuries. A 10-inch wrist brace, and then we have these ones that are an 8-inch stay. And this one comes in the neoprene, which would be really good for arthritic wrist braces. And same thing, just an 8-inch version. That being said as well, we did make the Active CT lacer in neoprene as well. So you can get that option as well. It brings the cost down. It's not as breathable, but once again, good for arthritis. But brings the cost down closer to in line with the 97. So if there's somebody that wants a lacer but wants a better price, or wants a lacer that's 8 inches, we do have all those available for those different prescriptions that might come in. But in most cases, the contoured or the Active CT lacer have been our most popular braces. They're essentially the same, just one is Velcro, one is a lacer, so this one's easier to put on, this one's a little bit more supportive, but a little bit better price. So hopefully that helps there. Going on from the Active CT lacer and the contoured wrist brace, we have the, basically it's the wrist thumb lacer, but it's the Active CT lacer with our 3167 thumb brace on there. So these ones, if you ever have somebody that injures themselves, usually they're gonna fall back on their thumb and wrist joint. So this is something that's, if somebody's hurt themselves and needs that stabilization as well, you got the same kind of pulls, everything's the same about fitting, but now you have this extra little strap that goes around the thumb, and as well you have a contoured thumb stay. So this one's really good for if someone as well has needs more immobilization. You have a third stay there as well, so that could be something that might be indicated as well. With this one, you can take the stay out of the thumb brace here and contour that brace as well. But it's not just a straight, it doesn't come with just a straight stay. It is contoured the way your thumb is contoured, and then of course you can bend that as needed. And as well, if you just want, if you've just hurt just your thumb, you do have the thumb available as well, which is very simple to don and doff. And both of these can come in the full length as well. So this one only goes up to the tip of the thumb, or sorry, leaves one digit available to still be used, which is a lot of customers like. This is the 3167. You can get the 3169 that goes right to the end and completely immobilizes the thumb as well. And these fit, these ones fit left and right, so you only have to have just the sizing in stock. You don't have to have left and right in stock, which is nice. And then This one is actually the 3193 ST short thumb. If you want the long thumb that goes right to the end, that would be the 3193T. So those two are available. So that's kind of wrist braces, which I find are most popular. Those are the ones that are, most cases you're gonna come in are knees and wrist. Next one I was gonna quickly show you is just some back bracing. Back bracing is something that is, if, you know, particularly in these times as people are sitting down a lot and then going out and getting more active, they might get some back spasms, problems like that. So this is just our lumbar 3250 lumbar sacral back brace. This one here, it just has an elastic little belt that goes on just to help you don the device. And then a little big for this one, but you essentially just have a back brace, but then you have these two elastic straps, and those elastic straps will pull pressure onto your back and help support your back. So this one's a nice, flexible, comfortable back brace, very economical, breathable, very, very comfortable. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to give compression to the back. Whenever you're having back pain, your back starts to spasm, your lumbar muscles start to spasm. What we want to do is we want to get some compression onto those muscles, and that compression is going to allow those to ease, and then that pain goes away. Something that used to be only really available in hospitals and were really expensive was like a lace back, compression back strapping system. So this is a new one that we just launched that has that ability. It's got the compression straps on the back, so they will be able to pull tighter. So you'll get more compression on your back and allowing more compression, so those spasms will go away. These ones will retail for a really good price. They're not gonna pull as easy as some of our higher end ones, like our Aspen ones and such, but they will give that compression. The Aspen one I was mentioning, so this looks very, very similar, but what it has is it has actually a pulley system inside there. So that pulley system allows it that when you're pulling on this, you don't have to put as much force in to get the compression. And there's actually studies showing that if you get the right amount of compression on those lumbar muscles, that they will ease the back pain so you can get out and do your back to daily living and get rid of those back spasm and pain. The other nice feature about this one is that, again, the other thing that's nice about these two is that they're very easy to adjust. So if you're gonna have office workers or warehouse workers, truck drivers, things like that, you can tighten it up and then do what you're gonna do, or loosen it if you're about to sit down. But the nice thing with these is it will adjust. So if you pull the top, it'll adjust the top, and the bottom adjust separately. So that way it will contour to different shapes of people, or where wanting to target where the pain is or where the back spasms are. And this one's all nice, breathable. This is Aspen's retail line, the Aspen Lumbar Light. And that one comes in a nice retail box. And like I said, has nice studies showing you that it will help with those back spasms. As well, this is one of ours, the dynamic lumbar light that we have. This one's a little bit more rigid on the back here, still pulley systems on the inside. Pull on one side will do the lower or the higher as well, but this one just a little different. It's got a little bit more mesh, a little bit more breathable for summer, things like that. And then as well, we have this same version in a more padded sided version that is very nice economical price, but a little bit more rigid on the back for more back pain that's available in retail. So that's kind of the back braces. Next, I guess I'll just quickly touch on some elbow. So normally for an elbow, you usually have like tennis or golfer's elbow, epicondylitis. This is not my size, so I'm not going to get it on. But this is just a golfer's elbow strap that can kind of just go over top of the condyles. You're going to basically try to deactivate the muscle and relieve the tendon of pressure there. So there's a tendon pad that comes with these, and you put them either on your medial or lateral condyles to deactivate those muscles. But these ones usually can only do one or the other. So that's just a basic strap, very, very popular. As well, we have our Epi Clasp, which is, I'm just going to open this right up so you can kind of see what is. It is one that's going to pinch on the top and the bottom. So essentially it's like it's good for golfers and tennis elbow. And then it's got a D-ring so it can really pinch down on those muscles. So that's something if they have injuries on both sides. Then you have, if you want something that has more of a sleeve, more of a full elbow compression, this is our cool cell, so it's a little more breathable for summertime, which these sports tend to be. And then you do have the strap with the tendon pad as well, so that you will deactivate the muscle as well. So that's a nice option there too. This is a new one of ours from our dynamic line. So similar to the tennis elbow sleeve that I just showed you, but it has silicone pads on both sides. So if you're going to be deactivating for golfers and tennis elbow, and then you have the 20-30 compression as well. So that's going to give you that nice compression. It's going to get rid of lactic acid, inflammation, things like that for acute injuries. But definitely have some nice massaging pads on both sides with the strap that goes around. The other thing that's we kind of tend to like to call this one is the Pickleball Brace, because it really does help for those kind of situations. It seems to be very popular these days. And for more serious injuries, this is another one that we have available. I just wanted to mention it to make sure everybody knows that we have it. But it's actually a tennis, or not a tennis elbow, it's an elbow sleeve that has a rigid stay on the outside to really help stabilize the elbow, but it has some straps that help limit the range of motion. So it's a hyperextension stop. You will still be able to flex the muscle, but it won't allow extension to whatever limited range of motion you want it. So that's just your range of motion, hyperextension elbow sleeve. So that's a nice little option to know that we have. I'm almost done because I'm sure you're getting sick of me. But a couple little things on the ankle braces. I just wanted to mention, if anybody ever comes in for drop foot, this one's actually this one is actually our plantar fasciitis night splint, but it's very similar to our toe lift. So if somebody comes for drop foot, we have a little ankle brace that goes on there, and then this little hook here would hook into a shoe to stop anything for a drop foot. So this is something that's retail available, but it also comes with a second one of these that goes into like a Velcro shoe or weaker laces that doesn't have a strong eyelet. So you got kind of two shoes that can hook into. And then as well, it comes with this booty here that will essentially, if you're not wearing shoes at night, you can hook your ankle support to the booty. And then that'll stop that drop foot with a soft good at night. And then this one, as we're looking at it right now, this is actually our plantar fasciitis night splint, which hooks up above the calf, and then this will help pull up to stretch that fascia for your ankle, or for your foot for plantar fasciitis. For the ankle, most cases what people are going to want is what's called kind of a figure 8 ankle brace. So this one's our Sweeto. All of our ankle braces are very popular with the Sweeto. So with this one here, you essentially have the laces and all the stirrups on the side here to stabilize the ankle, and then you have these two straps that figure 8 around the ankle. And this one's called the strap lock. So you got the straps and then the 2 locks at the top that stabilize everything. These ones are going to be really popular for any kind of injuries where someone's going back to sport, want a lot of stabilization. A very common term you're going to kind of hear out there is like ASO is kind of this kind of style. But this one's the Sweeto ankle lock, strap lock, sorry. And it does the figure 8 with the laces and then locks everything in place. So that's very common, fits into the shoe really nice. But something that's new with us, this is one of those things I pulled out earlier, is just our dynamic ankle lacer. So the ankle lacer isn't going to support as well. You can still see that little metal stay I pulled out earlier. It's not going to support as well, but it's got these metal stays inside. Really soft interior, This one I find is really good for elderly. So if somebody's coming, just looks a little wants some stabilization, it's just as easy as putting on our wrist lacers. Once you pull everything tight, those metal stays hold everything together, and then very quick and easy to put on. This might be the case where even somebody that's coming in off an injury, they're not going to wear something else because it's so hard to put on. This is just something that's so easy to put on, at least they're wearing this, not nothing. So that could be a good option as well. And the other thing I was going to mention too is if somebody has an acute injury, they would just want to go with the air cushion ankle brace. This is where you want to have some immobilization. You have two plastic stays up and down the side that don't articulate, with the air cushions on either side to kind of help immobilize the ankle. That's if somebody has an acute ankle injury and they've just injured it and they're not doing any sport we're trying to immobilize. That or a walking boot, something like that. From there, if they want to get into something that has a little bit of range of motion, trying to get back into sport but still needs a rigid rigid stay, that's where something like this, the Eclipse from Active Ankle, this is one of their new versions of the Active Ankle, comes in. It has that rigid stay up the side, but it does articulate. So this one here is a great option for those people that are going back into sport but not quite too confident on their ankle yet. Little tips on fitting this one. There's technically 3 straps. So there's one on the back, one on the front, and then this circumferential strap here. But I wouldn't undo that one completely. I would just loosen it, slide your foot in, and then this one here, when it comes new, this is going to be straight. You want to just crease the end of it so that it curls, because then when you go to slide this back in, it'll curl on through. Just makes your life a little bit easier. So then you can just tighten that main strap back up and then completely tighten this one and then adjust that back one, and you're all set to go. And then this will lock into the shoe. Doesn't fit into the shoe perfectly, as you're going to imagine, with the bigger stirrups or stays on the side, but that's what's required if somebody's coming off a pretty acute injury and trying to get back into sport. So yeah, I think that's probably enough for today. Hopefully it didn't bore you, and hopefully it was helpful. And then we are going to have a lot more videos where we're going to have individual sizing just for how to fit, say, a wrist brace or a knee brace specific items. But I just wanted to make sure we covered you in general, make sure give you a little good overview on everything from Ortho Active, and hopefully gave you some good tips on fitting and things there. Thank you very much.